When you put your two hands together, no matter if the left hand is blocked, broken, or in this style, the waltz umcha style, always follow the same recommendation. You only do up to where the chord changes. I would stop even before doing the entire bar. So you always remind right hand what you're doing, then left hand what you're doing, right hand again, left hand again. Then you attempt this little tiny chunk that I circled. So right hand is, that's it. Left hand C chord, the beginning of the G7. Right hand again, and the left hand C chord, and the beginning of the G7. When you put your two hands together, don't do it at that speed. Go much lower. So and you get there with the B and the B correctly, then tap yourself and congratulate yourself. But most people would do this. They would lift everything. That's a common mistake for beginners, to practice two hands too fast and lift everything. What do I mean by lifting everything? Look, left hand has to lift, and most of the time we are symmetrical. We're going to tend to lift the right hand and be legato or smooth when the left hand is smooth. This is the difficulty of accompanying yourself with the umcha style, because your right hand is supposed to be legato from here to here, but the left hand lifts in order to repeat. So you make sure that between this note and that note, you are not lifting the right hand, right? Still holding. And still holding. And that's the difficulty of doing it correctly. That's why we are taking it so slow. So you are very aware that when you're lifting your left hand for this third beat, your right hand will tend to do the same. So then you kind of know that you have the same difficulty here and same difficulty. So I'm not going to repeat these because it's the same phrase. Let's move on to this because you have a difficulty of putting the thumb here. And when we are practicing fast, we might forget that we had the thumb there. Then we put the wrong finger when we put our two hands together. Very common mistake. So that's a G7 and the same. Why do I practice this? Because of this right hand difficulty. And the fact that I need to be legato. So right hand, what are you doing? 4 and B, hold, thumb on G, cross over to the F on 2 and skip, right? B, then thumb, then index, then thumb, all legato, while the left hand just does its own waltz. So the two hands together on this one, I'm going to erase the other one so you're focusing on the right bracket. On these two bars, B with the B. Then you walk to the thumb, hold that thumb, even if you're lifting your left hand. The next bar, index on F and legato, and I would repeat that a lot. Pause the video, repeat a lot until you get to this speed. Then we practice by phrase. So then you're gonna have to go back and try to get the entire two hands. And repeat that. If you get that smooth at a reasonable speed, then we do the next phrase. So always repeat the same phrase over and over until you get it smooth, then you do the next phrase. So the next phrase, it begins rather easy because you just have a bunch of B's in the same chord, G7. So I'm going to scroll up from there. So B, 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 then step down. Then you're going to have to repeat that A in the next line. Okay, so let me try to squeeze up a tiny bit. Yeah. You could see that the right hand, B, 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 A, and A, G. Just try to get there first. The left hand is still G7. So B, 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 A. Next line, repeat the A down. Still the same G7. I wrote it with very, very simple chords just so that you can practice how to do jazz style with the melody. Then we can continue with the same G7, all of that. So we don't need to see the left hand because we just know it's G7, jazz style. And what is this next section? It's just going up D to the G and repeat along with the G7. Here we go. And you can even continue A, and only when you get to the E, index on E, do we change chord. So let's pretend we've got from here all to here correctly, so I can scroll. Let me erase all that, scroll up. Then I would practice from here and try to get there, because the difficulty there is change of chords. Where's that chord change? When you hit the E. That's when you're changing to C chord. Okay, so I wouldn't practice the entire phrase. I would practice only a small chunk. What is a small chunk? A change of chords. I would practice only here. So A with the B, because it's G7 chord. Here we go. The blue bracket. E with the C. And hold the right hand. That's it. I just do that. And so repeat and repeat until you get to. Then you go back and you do the entire pink phrase, which is and that was the real speed. So if you're still at this speed, just keep repeating until you can think in your head about changing chord as your right hand keeps going. In the next phrase, it's just a matter of knowing you are going to change to F chord, which is right here. So just beware, that's F chord. E with a C chord. A with the F chord. That should be easier than what we just did right before. Here we continue the phrase and we stop there. And it's G7 chord changing to C chord over here. D with G7. D again. C, when you get to the pinky, it's C chord. And I stop there. Because the next phrase is right here. And this is one little trick for you. If you have a phrase like the red phrase there, what I do is I don't start right there. I could, but in this case I have nothing to do in the right hand here, right? It's just a tie. So I would start from the beginning of the bar, but the right hand would only come in here. So at the moment, if you're a low beginner, you can cheat a little bit and place your right hand already thumb on G, be ready for it, and the left hand starts C chord. when you're changing chord. And that will take a while for beginners to get to this point because you're stretching up and you're changing chord. So I would repeat just that until that point. From the C chord again. G, A, G, A. And then we stretch, and the left hand also. So if you end up there without difficulty, then I could continue. So, because it's a tied note, I would only continue up to here where I have a tied note and stop right there. And then you went, okay, I don't want to have that long phrase, so let me just practice the little small chunk that would make me concentrate on the difficulty. And that would be from the C chord to the G7 chord to the tied note. That will be my chunk. So right hand is A, G, F, F, D, tied. Left hand is C chord, G7, and still G7. Right hand is A, hold, G, F, F, D, tied. Remind each hand what it's doing, and only then put the two hands together really slow. So pause the video and repeat until you get to this beat. So that is a difficult chunk to do. I would suggest you repeat that a lot. Then I would practice the next, because the next chunk is not easy because of the right hand's fingering and the notes. The next chunk would then be from the G7 chord all the way. Just because your right hand has some difficulty. Okay, so here's that chunk, F with the G7. F, F, D, tied, skip down. Oh, look at my right hand, that's just a G chord I'm doing. And if you get that correctly, then I go to the end of that chunk, AA. Right? So get that chunk really, really good and repeat until you get to this beat. And I continue only by placing my hand in the right place. Pinky on G. Left hand doesn't change, it's still G7 in the next part. So I'm only practicing how to play A, lift, put. And if you don't get that comfortably, I would just repeat that chunk until I can place my right hand. Really break down everything that's difficult. And the difficulty there is lifting my hand and placing my 5 right there. Because if your hand can just be placed, not without playing even this, if your hand can be placed, you can then just continue, right? So pause the video and practice until you can comfortably do the chunk that I squared up. Lift, and you can get to that point where you're hitting the next part here together. And if you can get that, then there's no problem doing the rest, because the rest is just what? The rest is straight down. Da 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 dum. In case you've forgotten, you just go straight down to C, right? So that's the next part. G. Once you get there, then you just switch to C chord. So basically you're sort of, because of my screen, I'm sort of asking you to memorize the last 2 bars here at the bottom. So you just go straight down, and your left hand and switch to C chord. So try to memorize this part so I can scroll up and still tell you that the more difficult part is right here, where you're lifting your hand, putting your 5 on G, continuing. So I would do this bigger chunk now, lots and lots and lots and lots of time. F, right? And then you skip down, A, rest, pinky on G, and just walk straight down. That's what the right hand's doing. And the difficulties in the right hand, your brain needs to know that it's focusing on the right hand. Here we go, 2 hands slower. Tied note, skip down the A. Lift your right hand, pinky on G, and walk straight down. At the bottom of the line, the page is C chord. And just hold that C. Or rather, I only wrote this, and that's how it ends. So, and just 2 notes at the end. And that's how you would try to. Of course, I did not repeat enough times, but pause the video and practice with this until you can get to the speed for each of the little chunk. Chunk it up when you put 2 hands, and slower.